Welcome to an IlmQuest presentation. Basic Fiqh, Marriage and Divorce, presented by Yasir Qadhi, Part 6.
We now move on to the other topic, prohibited marriages. What marriages are, or who is it prohibited to marry? Amongst the relatives, the list is a list of common sense. Every single Muslim knows this list. Mothers and all above them, meaning grandmothers, great-grandmothers from both sides, daughters and all beneath the daughters, I mean direct daughters, sons, daughters, granddaughters, great-great-granddaughters, so on and so forth. Paternal aunts, meaning your father's sister, whether full sister or half-sister. Maternal aunts, your mother's sister, full sister or half-sister. Your nieces, your brother's daughters, and your sister's daughters. All of these are relatives which are prohibited to marry, and this list is the list of mahrams. These are the list who the Sharia gives them the name mahram, which means that you do not have to do hijab in front of them, and you can travel with them, the women can travel with them, and it is prohibited to marry them. And also foster relationships are prohibited. These are the blood relationships, the first list. The second is the foster relationship. What is a foster relationship? A foster relationship is one which is established when a woman breastfeeds a child beneath the age of 2 years for 5 full feedings. This is a foster relationship. When it is established? When a woman feeds a baby beneath 2 years or younger. If you feed above this age, like the child is 2.5 or something, then the foster relationship is not established. The child must be beneath the age of 2. Also 5 full feedings. So if a breastfeeding mother feeds another child for once or twice or 3 or 4 times even, then the foster relationship is not established. Also they must be full times, meaning that the child himself or herself lets go of the milk. That it is full now, not just a few suckings and this is 5 suckings, no. 5 full feedings where the child is full and it lets go of the milk. When a child becomes a foster child, then the Sharia, for marriage purposes only, considers that breastfeeding mother to be like a real mother. And her husband at that time, or the one who caused the milk, is the father. So for marriage purposes only, not for inheritance and divorce, not for anything else. Only for marriage purposes and doing hijab obviously in front of them. That foster relationship is established. And the Prophet ﷺ said that foster relationships prohibit what blood prohibits. This is the hadith. Which means, to make things very easy, you pretend as if that foster mother is a real mother, and that foster father is a real father. Therefore, all of the foster mother's children, all of that foster father's children, all of the foster mother's brothers and sisters, all of the foster father's brothers and sisters, all of them become prohibited for that person. You just transform them into a real mother and a real father for the sake of marriage. For the sake of marriage, you do so. A man came and entered upon Aisha while she was not wearing hijab at that time, and so Aisha said, "You're not allowed to come upon me, visit me." He said, "I am your uncle." She said, "How is this so?" He said, "My brother's wife fed you." So Aisha did not like this and he told her to leave. When the Prophet ﷺ came and she explained what happened, the Prophet ﷺ said, "Don't prevent your relatives from visiting you." He was her uncle, literally, in the sense foster uncle. But look how it was, my brother's wife. How did that happen? That woman became Aisha's foster mother. Therefore, her husband became the foster father. Therefore, it became as if he was a paternal uncle, her father's brother. That's how he became. So the Prophet ﷺ said, "Allow him to visit you. He's your uncle." So to make things very easy, you just transform that foster mother and foster father into a real father and mother for the sake of marriage, and then their brothers and sisters, their children, so on and so forth, they all become prohibited for that person only. Now realize it only becomes prohibited for that baby. For the baby's brothers and sisters who were not foster-fed, that relationship doesn't transfer onto them. So let's say a baby was breastfed by a certain mother, okay, a foster mother. That foster mother has a daughter. When the baby grows up, the baby boy grows up, he cannot marry that daughter. But his brother can marry the daughter, because the brother was not foster-fed. So foster relationships are not transferred from the baby to other people. No, only that one baby gets that foster relationship. Also, this shows you the importance of women taking note of who they feed and how many times they feed them. This is very important. Women who are breastfeeding, It's a very, very serious matter that they breastfeed other children besides their own. Serious meaning not haram or evil, but it is something they need to remember and not forget. After 20, 30 years, she comes along and says, I forgot, I fed you, but I don't know how many times I fed you. This is a big deal now, because it makes things halal and haram. If she fed this baby 5 times, then this baby becomes her son. He can enter without hijab, she's not without hijab. Her own daughters become haram for him, and so on and so forth. So this should not be trivialized. If a person wishes to breastfeed, if a woman wishes to breastfeed other than her children, she should remember, I have breastfed this person this many times. And then the foster relationship is established. Now realize the foster relationship, the foster father is the one who caused the milk to flow. This is how the scholars define it. Okay? The foster father is the one who caused the milk to flow. Meaning that if the woman marries another husband, then that husband's children from another marriage will not be. So we said that the foster father is the father who, as the books of fiqh say, caused the milk to flow. So a woman is married to a man. She becomes pregnant. The man divorces her while she is pregnant. Okay? So the child is born, and then she will start breastfeeding. Then while she is breastfeeding, she marries another man. You're following? It's a bit complicated. Foster relationships are always complicated. You have to pay attention all the time. While she's breastfeeding this child, right, she marries another man. That man has children from another marriage. The second husband has no relationship to the children she breastfeeds. Why? Because he did not cause the milk to flow. The milk was caused by the pregnancy, which was caused by the first husband. The first husband becomes the foster father even though he is not married to her when she actually is foster feeding the other children. But just remember, very simple thing. The foster mother is very clear. She's the one who breastfeeds. Common sense, right? The foster father is not necessarily her husband at that time. It could have been a previous husband. The foster father is the one who causes the milk to flow. This is the foster father. If she marries other people, that's not the foster father anymore. Okay? So children that another husband have don't become prohibited for the children that she foster feeds. So this is very important that you understand. The foster mother is the one who obviously feeds the child. The foster father is the one who caused the milk to flow in her. And the rule is foster relationship prohibit just like a blood relationship. But only to the baby that was breastfed, not to the baby's siblings, not to the baby's brothers and sisters. Nothing is prohibited to them. The third prohibited marriages are in-law relationships. So there's 3 types of prohibited permanent marriages. The first is your blood relatives, the second is the foster relationships, and the third is the in-law relationships. What are the in-law relationships? 4. The first is the father's wife. If your father marries a woman, obviously not your mother, another woman, then she becomes prohibited for you. The second is your son's wife. If your son marries a woman, that woman becomes prohibited for you. So these are mahrams as well. The third is your wife's mother. Your wife's mother. So, anytime you engage in a marriage contract, automatically these 3 people are prohibited. As soon as you engage in the marriage contract. The marriage contract takes place, then the father's wife, for the groom, the father's wife becomes prohibited. Also the son's wife, let's say for the father-in-law, the son's wife becomes prohibited. The wife's mother, your wife's mother becomes prohibited as soon as you engage in the contract. And the fourth is the wife's daughter, but only if you have consummated the marriage and not with the contract. So in any marriage contract, as soon as you do the contract, immediately 3 relationships are established. When you consummate the marriage, 1/4 relationship is established, and that is that the wife's daughter is prohibited for you if you have engaged in intercourse with the wife. So suppose you get married to a woman, okay? And she's like 40 years old, she has a 20-year-old daughter. Very cruel thing to do, but you like the daughter more than the woman. You divorce the woman. You're allowed to marry the daughter now, Shari'i-wise, okay? It's allowed, means she's not your mahram. Because you have not consummated the marriage. This is what the Qur'an says. Only if you consummate the marriage with the woman, then her daughter becomes prohibited for you. But with the marriage contract, without consummating, then your father's wife, your son's wife, your wife's mother, all of them become prohibited. As for the sisters, they just reverse positions. Don't think of it from the woman's way, think of it from the man's way, and you will know these relationships as well. So for the sisters, how do they calculate this? They just look at it from the other way. They look at it from the man's perspective, and if they fall into one of these categories, then these are all in-law relationships. Therefore, the wife of the wife can take her hijab off in front of her father-in-law. This is a mahram for her. But she cannot take her hijab off in front of her brother-in-law, because the brother-in-law is not a foster relationship, or her father's, or her husband's uncle, or her husband's, any other relatives. The only relationship which becomes mahram permanently is the father of her husband. Okay, this is the one, her father-in-law and her son-in-law. These are the people that are her mahrams. Everyone else, they are not mahram, which means that after that marriage breaks, she can marry them. But she cannot marry her father-in-law, and she cannot marry her son-in-law. These are the prohibited marriages. Everything else besides this is allowed. Obviously, there's some temporary prohibitions as well, which everyone knows. The temporary prohibitions are combining between two sisters or two aunts. If you want to marry more than one wife, you cannot marry your sister-in-law, but she is not a mahram. You don't call that relationship a mahram. Why? Because it's temporary. Your wife's sister is not your mahram. You cannot marry her only while you're married to her sister. As soon as that marriage breaks, either through divorce or through death, then she becomes halal for you if she's single. So this is not a permanent mahram. Likewise, a person who has married more than 4 women, all women are haram for him until he divorces one of his wives. Okay, this is also temporary prohibition. It's not a prohibited, permanent prohibition. And one more situation which unfortunately is very common and needs to be known is that of a fornicator and a fornicatress, a zaniya. A woman who commits fornication, then in this case it is haram for a man to marry her until she repents and she goes through a waiting period of 1 cycle, 1 menstrual period. Or if she's pregnant, she gets rid of, or not get rid of, she delivers the baby. When that happens, then you can marry this woman. Otherwise, unfortunately, as is common, is that people marry women who are fornicating. This is not allowed. You must allow the woman to firstly repent. You are not allowed to marry a fornicator who has not repented, as the Quran says in Surah An-Nur. Secondly, she must go through a waiting period of 1 month to make sure that she's not pregnant. Otherwise, if you marry her, how do you know that the child is yours or the one who fornicated with her? You must wait for that period. She has her menstrual cycle, then you can marry her. So this too is a prohibited marriage, but it's only temporary prohibition, that until the fornicatress repents from the marriage, from the fornication. The topic of non-Muslim marriages. If 2 non-Muslims get married, then their marriage is valid according to their sharia. And if they accept Islam, we don't need a new nikah for them. This is very important. If a person accepts Islam with his wife, a Christian couple, a Jewish couple, a Hindu couple, a Buddhist couple, it is not right to ask them, oh, your nikah is not right, do it again. No. The Sahaba, many of them converted to Islam. And yet their nikah was mushrik nikah, shirk nikah. But Allah Azza wa Jal did not require them to repeat their nikah. The nikah of the people of kufr and shirk is valid for us when they accept Islam. As long as it is nikah. A boyfriend, girlfriend accept Islam, they're not married, of course you have to tell them to get married. But a husband, wife accept Islam together, their old nikah, whatever religion it was, is valid in Islam. As long as the nikah was done according to their religious rites. Realize this is of the mercy of Allah. Every single society and culture and religion has a marriage. There is no society on the face of this earth where there's no such thing as marriage. Every society, from the most primitive, there is some type of marriage rites and ceremonies that they do. So that ceremony for us is valid when they accept Islam. If only the husband converts, then if his wife is Christian or Jew, no problem, right? The husband converts to Islam, and the wife is Christian or Jew, he is allowed to remain with her. But if the wife converts and the husband doesn't, then obviously the marriage becomes annulled. The marriage becomes annulled, and the husband is giving a waiting period. This is the opposite now. The husband is giving the waiting period of 3 months, 3 cycles of hers. If he accepts Islam within this time frame, then he may rejoin his wife without a new marriage contract. But if he doesn't accept Islam, then her marriage contract is null and void, and she may marry anyone she wishes after the waiting period of 3 cycles. Okay? Now, this is something that I advise you separate here. Especially the sisters, when they meet a sister who wants to convert, when they meet a non-Muslim, they want to convert, and then you find that they're not willing to give up their spouses, their husbands, don't scare them away from Islam. Their iman right now might be very weak. The fact that she's a Muslim and lives with a non-Muslim, this is a sin. The fact that she doesn't accept Islam, this is kufr and shirk. So be wise and use your wisdom, use your hikmah There's a person who wants to accept, and then you scare her away by telling her, oh, if you accept, you have to divorce your husband. SubhanAllah, she might leave Islam because of this. Use your wisdom. Don't talk about this topic now. Let her accept Islam, let her iman increase, and then tell her, sister, you should try to leave your husband if possible, so on and so forth. And if she doesn't leave, obviously use your wisdom. Don't scare her away from Islam. The fact that she's a Muslim, at least she saved herself from the fire of hell. The fact that she's married to a non-Muslim, this not a marriage which is not valid, this is zina. It's not shirk or kufr. But if you scare her away from Islam, you might actually be guilty of causing her to go to kufr and shirk. So be careful, be wise, be just. If a woman accepts Islam, and you think that her iman has reached that level, then you break this news to her, that sister, you cannot remain married to your husband until he accepts Islam. And you must leave her immediately, you must leave him immediately. After the 3 cycles, if he still hasn't accepted, she is free to marry someone else. If a Muslim man wishes to marry a person of Ahl al-Kitab, a woman, a Jewish or Christian woman, then the Qur'an allows him this right, as long as she is a chaste, a pious woman. The Qur'an clearly states, وَالْمُحْصَنَاتُ, those who are pious of the Ahl al-Kitab. And this is again a common mistake that many people fall into, is that they will marry impious women, women who are involved in fornication or so on and so forth. The Qur'an has not allowed this. Many times the Muslim himself is going to be the one who does zina with her and then marries her, a'udhu billah. The Qur'an has not allowed you to marry a fornicatress. It has not allowed you to do zina in the first place. It has also not allowed you to marry a woman who commits zina. What is allowed is a chaste, pious woman who does not do these acts. This is what is allowed. Also, this is an issue which many of you will be surprised to hear. In reality, what is allowed is to marry a person, Jewish or Christian woman, while you are in a Muslim state. This is what the Sharia has allowed. As for the issue of marrying them while you're in a non-Muslim country, such as the countries we're in, this is not what the Sharia has allowed. This is because the children of such a marriage, if something happens, what will happen to them? They will become Christians or Jews, and the state will take them. In fact, the scholars clearly state that when a person is in Darul Harb, they call it in a different country, non-Muslim country, he should not marry their women. Because if he does so, his children will not become Muslim after him. And this is what we all find, that when a Muslim man marries a Christian lady, and a divorce happens, they go to the court always hands the kiss to the lady, always. Because not only is she the mother, she's a Christian. They don't want to hand the kiss to a Muslim. And then the children are born by a Muslim father, and they are raised in a Christian family. And how many are the brothers that have come to me and to all of the imams and the du'at? They come to them and they're crying, and they're, brother, what can I do? I married a Christian lady, and then we got divorced, now she has my kids and she's raising them as Christians. What can you do? You cannot do anything. Because the law will always be on her side. Not only is she a woman, she's a Christian. The law will always be on her side. In fact, really, many of the scholars go to the extent of saying it's not allowed to marry a Christian or Jew in these countries. What is allowed is when you're in a Muslim country. This is when it's allowed to marry a Christian or Jew. Such that if something happens, the Muslim courts will take charge of it, the Muslim state will take charge of the children, and they will be raised as Muslims. Therefore, in my opinion, it is strongly, strongly, strongly discouraged, if not even to the level of haram, that a Muslim man marries a non-Muslim living in these countries. Because there are so many problems that happen. Also, yet another issue is the issue of, if the Muslims start marrying off the non-Muslims, who will marry our Muslim sisters in these countries? And that is why Umar ibn al-Khattab, he prohibited one of his employees who was working for the state, he prohibited him from marrying a Jewish woman. When he responded that this is halal, I marry a Jewish lady, Umar said, yes, it is halal. But if you start marrying the Jews and the Christians, who will marry our ladies? Who will marry the Muslim ladies? Therefore, it is something which at least you can say it is strongly discouraged. It might even be to the level of haram because of the issue of the children. The walima is also an integral part of the marriage, because the Prophet ﷺ strongly encouraged the groom to give a walima. And the walima consists of a dinner, whatever the person can afford. The Prophet said even if it's with one sheep, meaning the least amount of meat that you can do, and it should be such that all non-Muslim practices are avoided. This is because, unfortunately, we live in times where we have integrated Hindu or pagan cultures into our religion. And whenever people get married, we have all of these ceremonies and all of these issues with so much haram in them. This goes against the Sharia. The Sharia wants us to have enjoyment and celebration, but with our own customs and cultures, not with the customs and cultures of the non-Muslims. What is encouraged is the walima. As for all of the other customs that occur, we must examine them. If they are Hindu or if they are pagan in origin, we should avoid them. And if they are not, then they are permissible as long as the people realize that this is not the walima. The sisters may get together before a woman gets married and enjoy themselves. The brothers can get together and enjoy themselves. But we have to realize what is the Islamic practice is the actual walima. Any other celebration, as long as within the confines of the Sharia, these are allowed. The walima must be from the groom. This is the whole point. Again, we have common practices where the bride is the one who spends the money. No, it is the groom who is responsible financially. The walima must be from him or from his family, and it should be any time soon after the marriage contract. Whether the next day of the marriage, or whether after 2-3 days, but it should be very soon after the marriage contract. And the best walima, as the Prophet ﷺ said, is the one when both the rich and the poor are invited to. If only the upper class are invited and the poor are left out, the Prophet ﷺ said this is the worst type of walima. This is the worst type of walima. The walima should be for the whole community of family and friends, rich and poor. And if someone is invited to the walima, then it becomes obligatory to respond unless there is a valid reason. For example, it is too far away for you. This is a valid reason. For example, you already have a previous engagement. It's a valid reason. For example, there's haram going on, music or singing or intermixing. In this case, or wine is being served. In this case, it is prohibited to respond to this, and you cannot go and attend such a walima. The walima is only allowed to attend when there are halal practices going on. If there are haram practices, then it becomes haram to attend such a walima. Unfortunately, how common it is very difficult to find a halal walima to go to in our times, because so much haram goes on. But the fact of the matter is, when you know that haram is going on, you are not allowed to go there, because then you are aiding in that haram from going on. It is allowed, obviously, in the walima for the women to play the daf, or which is a small instrument which you play. The women are allowed to play this in these happy occasions, and they're allowed to sing and rejoice amongst themselves. Likewise, the brothers can do so amongst themselves, but there should not be intermixing, and there should obviously be no singing or dancing in front of the other opposite sex. The treatment of the spouses is also discussed in the books of fiqh, but it is only touched upon. It is not discussed in great detail. This is because this is a topic in and of itself. And the general rule, as the Qur'an says, وَعَاشِرُوهُنَّ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ, treat them with kindness. The Qur'an instructs the men to treat them with kindness, and as the Prophet ﷺ said, but the best of you are those who are the best to their wives. This is a hadith of the Prophet, the best of you are those who are best to their wives. And there are primary responsibilities that each one has. The rights that the wife has over the husband, the primary right that the wife has, is the right of housing and maintenance. The wife does not have to spend a single penny from her pocket in order to eat, to drink, to live, to wear decent clothes, to have a house. She does not have to spend anything. House meaning not necessarily a house, but a place to live which is acceptable to their standards. Okay, each one has their own standards. What might be acceptable to one couple will not be acceptable to another couple. So this must come from the husband. The wife does not have to pay any of this, as long as to a reasonable level. If the wife wants a bigger thing that the husband cannot afford, obviously we're not talking about that. This is why it's important that before the marriage, everything is made clear. The wife says, I don't want to live in an apartment. The husband can only afford an apartment. Tough luck, this is his level. It's the level of the husband and his income that counts. Therefore, the wife must stipulate beforehand what she wants, if she wants this. The husband and his financial level, this is what is important. Whatever he can afford, in terms of housing, in terms of clothes, in terms of foods, that is what will be given to her. And that is why it is important that the wali and the bride look at the level, the financial level of the husband as well. What can he offer, and is my daughter or is my sister going to be used to this treatment or not? And the wife or the daughter as well, she must stipulate beforehand if she wants to do something more than this. And the primary right of the husband is the right to enjoy his wife intimacy whenever he wishes to do so. This is the primary right. Neither the husband can give up his right of housing and maintenance, nor can the wife give up her right of intimacy. And everything beyond this, obviously, is sunnah, strongly encouraged. More than this is strongly encouraged if the husband goes beyond this, but these are the bare minimum. This is what is required by the Sharia. This is the bare minimum, that the rights of the wife is that she gets her housing and maintenance and clothing, and the rights of the husband is that she cannot prevent the husband from enjoying her any time that the husband wishes to do so, as long as it is within the confines of the Sharia. As for the etiquettes of intimacy, Allah Azza wa Jal has prohibited relationships while the woman is in her menses, meaning that He has prohibited actual intercourse. As for anything besides intercourse, it is allowed, as the Prophet ﷺ said. What is prohibited is actual intercourse. Also, anal intercourse has been prohibited. The Prophet ﷺ cursed the one who did this, and he said Allah Azza wa Jalla will not look at such a man who did this. He also called it minor homosexuality. These are the two things that are prohibited in the Sharia. Intercourse during the time of menstruation and anal intercourse. Everything besides this is allowed. The Sharia has remained silent about it. Therefore, it is allowed. Some people have different cultures, different customs during this act. As long as these two acts are avoided, everything else is allowed. We know that even during the time of the Prophet ﷺ, the Ansar had a certain etiquette of intimacy, and the Muhajirun had a certain etiquette of intimacy. The Ansar would be very shy and bashful, and they would not want the woman to lie on her back. They would have intercourse while she was on her side, because they said this covers her body more. The Muhajirun, they were the exact opposite. As Umar says, we would enjoy our women, backwards and forwards. We would turn them around and enjoy them. Okay? So a Muhajir man married an Ansari lady during the time of the Prophet ﷺ. So the Ansari lady said that when the Muhajir man wanted to enjoy her in this way, and from all different sides, the Ansari lady said, no, this is not the way I am used to. You must approach me the way that we are used to. So she refused intimacy with him. So the matter reached the Prophet ﷺ, then Allah revealed in the Qur'an, to this day we recited, نِسَاءُكُمْ حَرْثٌ لَكُمْ فَأْتُوا حَرْثَكُمْ أَنَّا شِئْتُمْ, that your women are like soils to you, so go to your soils as and how you wish. In other words, whatever you wish to do is halal for you. So it is not up to the wife to deny her husband anything that he wants to do, as long as the Sharia has allowed it, and we said the two things that the Sharia has prohibited. Also of the sunnahs of intimacy is we say Bismillah, and we say the dua, Allahumma jannibna shaitan wa jannib shaitan ma zakhtana, that, oh Allah, make shaitan avoid us and make he avoid that which we give birth to or which you give us, meaning of children. And the Prophet ﷺ said that when you do not do this tasmiyah, when you do not mention Allah's name, shaitan enjoys this act with you, a'udhu billah. So what husband is there that would want shaitan to enjoy this act with him? Always remember to say Bismillah before engaging in this act. And as we said, this is a topic in and of itself. The treatment of the spouses is a long topic in and of itself. And the more the wife gives, the more the husband will give. The more the husband gives, the more the wife will give. Instead of examining what is the bare minimum, rather we should ask ourselves, each side should ask itself, how can I improve the relationship? And it is well known that if you treat your wife nicely, she will treat you nicely. And the wife as well. If she treats her husband nicely, then she will get that niceness in return. The more you give, the more you will get back. And the less you give, the less you will get back. We're not going to talk too much about the fiqh of plural marriages, because even though many brothers talk about it, hardly anybody does it. We will just mention, though, briefly that if you want to marry more than one wife, then as everybody knows, you must treat both wives equally in two factors, in your time and in your money. These are the factors that must be absolutely equivalent. If you spend $10 on a gift of one wife, you must spend the same $10, not for the same gift necessarily, but the same value. The same $10 must be spent. If you spend one night with one wife, you must spend one night with another wife. Also, it is not a necessary condition that the first wife approve of the marriage. This is a common fallacy that many people believe in. That no scholar of Sharia ever says this. It's not a necessary condition that the first wife approve of the marriage. It's up to the husband if he wants to marry or not. Many sisters ask that, do I have to know, is it my right that at least he informs me of the second marriage? Although it is not a right that he informs her, that he doesn't have to tell her, the fact of the matter is, how does he expect to live with two wives without informing one of them? I mean, it causes more problems, and we know this from experience. How many brothers get married and they don't tell their first wives, and after the first wife finds out, it causes more problems than good. So therefore, it should be told to the first wife. She understands what's going on. And after this, the husband it's easier for him to be just and fair. How can he be just and fair when he doesn't even tell one of the wives that, he has a second wife? And we know that those husbands who do this, they end up being unjust to both of their wives, because they can't give either of them the rights that they deserve. So anyone who wants to get married to another wife, I strongly encourage him, yes, he should tell his first wife, because it causes more harm than good. With this, we move on to the second topic. I would like to point out over and over again, I don't choose the pictures. It was done by another brother. The fiqh of divorce. The fiqh of divorce. The fiqh of divorce, we discuss a number of topics. Firstly, the steps of reconciliation. When problems happen, how do you try to reconcile them? Then we move on to the actual divorce or talaq and how it occurs in all of its different forms. We move on to the topic of khula', or the woman's divorce. And then there's other ways of breaking the marriage as well. There's 3 ways we'll discuss. We'll also discuss the rules of iddat, or the waiting period of divorcees and those whose husbands have died, widowies. And lastly, we discuss the custodial rights of the children. Now, this is of the wisdom of the Sharia that it has allowed for divorce. Unlike Christianity, which has completely prohibited divorce. The Sharia acknowledges that sometimes a couple cannot get along. They will not be able to live together. So it has given them the concession, the option of ending the marriage in a nice way. But it is something the Sharia has strongly discouraged divorce, because it leads to problems, it leads to single people of society, it leads to children without two parents. So the Sharia has discouraged divorce. In one hadith, the scholars have differed about its authenticity. The Prophet ﷺ said that the thing which is the most hated in the sight of Allah, but it's still halal, is divorce. The most hated halal is the divorce, meaning the last option, the last resort. What are the steps of reconciliation? How do a husband and wife who are fighting and not getting along, how do they reconcile with each other? The first thing, as the Qur'an says, is they advise one another. They keep it private amongst themselves. As Allah says in the Qur'an, that when you fear some type of nushuz, some type of discipline problem, then you advise them. So if the wife is not getting what she wants from her husband, she communicates with the husband. And the husband as well, he communicates with the wife. Communication is the primary means of resolving the vast majority of disputes. And this is a problem brothers have and sisters have both. They simply don't communicate. Brothers and sisters, men and women, are created differently. Many times a husband will not even realize that he has offended his wife or has gotten her angry. And the wife will not realize that she has offended the husband, or why this is the case. There must be open channels of communication. I didn't like that you did this. You shouldn't have done that. This is always the first step. Open lines of communication. Okay? So the first step is you advise. Then the Qur'an says that if the wife still does not listen to you, that you're advising them. Now what is open rebellion? Open rebellion in general means that the primary rights are not being given. So if the husband is not giving the primary rights of custodianship, of maintenance to his wife, okay, she advises the husband, she tries to work it out, and then she can take it immediately to the court of law. But if the wife is not giving her rights to the husband of intimacy, then once again the husband advises her. The Qur'an then says that he should boycott her, meaning he should not talk to her. He should leave her in her bed by herself. Okay, he should show her that he is angry with her. And if even this does not work, then he has the right, as the Qur'an says, to physically discipline her in a way that does not leave any marks or any bruises on her. The Qur'an has allowed this option. If even this does not work and it goes beyond this, then the Qur'an says that two arbitrators should be brought forth. Two arbitrators should be brought forth to judge between the family. And this is of the beauty of the Sharia, that it wants to hide these family problems. It doesn't want to make it known. Look at all these steps that are taken in private. No one knows except the husband and the wife. When it gets to a level that is beyond control. As for the wife, as soon as she tries to advise, she cannot boycott or discipline, obviously. She then moves on to the two arbitrators immediately. One arbitrator will be from her side, and one arbitrator from his side. A family member or a friend that will be automatically sympathetic towards one of the two sides. But people of justice and integrity. So let's say the father of the girl will be one arbitrator, and the brother of the husband, for example. Something of this nature. Two arbitrators come together, and they discuss their entire differences and problems. Still keeping it small and private. Not trying to embarrass the community, embarrass the couple in public. The two arbitrators decide, and what they judge will be final. It will be obligatory on the husband and the wife to listen to that. Because they are the arbitrators, they are the judges. Okay, whatever they decide will be final. So, for example, the wife complains that this, the husband complains this. The two arbitrators decide, okay, this is the solution. Husband, you must do ABC. Wife, you must do ABC. They have come to this conclusion, they have agreed to it, then both of them are obligated by the Sharia to listen to this. If they try and still it fails, then the option of divorce is done. Now look at, unfortunately, we're going to go over this so many times. The divorce in our times, it is as if it is nothing to do with the Sharia. They ignore the entire Sharia. Everything is ignored. How many times are these steps followed in the Sharia? And when divorce takes place? On the contrary, immediately the man gets angry and he might divorce his wife. This is not true. This is not correct. You must follow these steps. You must follow these ways to do it. Get other people involved. Try to save the marriage. If, on the other hand, nothing can happen, after all of this you have failed, then you move on to the step of divorce. What are the types of divorce? there are many types of divorce. Firstly, we know that divorce is only allowed 3 times. After 3 times, there is no divorce. The husband and the wife become permanently haram for one another until the wife marries another husband. A real marriage, as we said, not a fake marriage. A real marriage. And they consummate the marriage. There must be intimacy. And then something happens. Either the husband dies or the husband divorces the wife. Then she is allowed to return to her first husband, and then he is given another 3 from the beginning. He can divorce her 3 times. So it's only allowed 3 times, and the divorce is always in the hands of the husband. Never is the wife allowed to execute a divorce by herself. Okay, this is because in general we're saying the husband can control his anger and is more mature than the wife. This is the general rule. Unfortunately, this is not always the case. There are always exceptions, and so the men also abuse it. But had women been given the divorce in their hands, then in reality, most marriages would not last very long. The woman would get angry, immediately give the divorce in her anger. But because the Sharia has judged men to be more mature in general, and more intelligent, and more firm, and more able to control their anger, it has given them the right of divorce. Therefore, this is something that we as men need to realize. It is a responsibility that Allah has given us. We should not abuse it and misuse it. It is a responsibility. Also, one thing, very important thing. There is no such thing as joking in divorce. The Prophet ﷺ said 3 things. Whether you joke or are serious, they will be done. Talaq, divorce. Taking your wife back after divorce. Right? And freeing slaves. These 3 things, if you divorce or you are serious about them, if you really want to divorce, or you're just joking, and you just say it, it will count as a real divorce. Because it is a serious matter. You cannot joke about marriage. You cannot joke about taking your wife back. And this is something all the scholars have agreed upon because of this hadith. So you cannot even joke with your wife that, oh, I have divorced you. She will be divorced as soon as you say that. That is how serious this matter is, and it will count as one divorce. There are many types of divorce. There is the sunnah way to divorce your wife, the proper way, versus the bid'ah way, the haram way, the sinful way. There's also the 1 divorce versus 3 divorce. We'll discuss each one in detail now. There's also 1 divorce that you can give, or 3 divorces in one time. Another type is an unconditional divorce versus a conditional divorce. And a 4th type is an explicit divorce versus a vague or imprecise divorce. And we'll discuss each of these now. What is the sunnah way to divorce your wife? The proper way to divorce your wife? Well, firstly, you have to go through all of those steps, which we mentioned before. Then, you have to divorce once during the pure time frame in which no intercourse has occurred. In other words, you must divorce your wife while she is in a state of purity, not in her menses. It is haram to divorce your wife in her menses. And in a time frame such that from the end of her menses until you want to give the divorce, you have not had intercourse with her. Okay? So once again, divorce is not something you just get angry and you do. You must think it out, you must plan it, you must go through those steps, and then if you still want to divorce, you will then allow your wife, for example, you've had intercourse with her, okay? And her menses has not come, you want to divorce her, you cannot divorce her now. You must wait for her menses to come, and then her menses to finish, and then not have intercourse with her, and then give her the divorce. This is the sunnah way of divorcing, that you must do it in the proper time frame. As Allah says in the Qur'an, if you divorce your wives, divorce them لِعِدَّتِهِنَّ, at the proper timings. وَأَحْصُ الْعِدَّةِ, and you count the timings after that, you count the iddah after that. The proper timing is what? Is a pure time frame which you have not had any intercourse with her. Why has divorce been prohibited in menses? Because we all know that during menses, women become more angry, more agitated, they become more short-tempered. Therefore, the husband might also become more short-tempered. So the Sharia has made it haram to divorce your wife in her menses. Likewise, the Sharia wants you to think it out and ponder it over. So it says, don't divorce her if you've just had intercourse with her. Wait until, for example, during the menses, the husband cannot have intercourse. So even he might be frustrated with his wife as well. And the wife herself, because of her hormones and her PMS, as they call it, she herself will be more irritated and agitated. So the marriage might end right then and there. So the Sharia has prohibited it. Wait until she finishes her menses, and then do not have intercourse with her if you want to divorce her. Then divorce her once. After you divorce her, you inform 2 witnesses. This is also in the Qur'an. When you divorce, you should inform 2 people of the Muslim community, I have divorced my wife. After this, the wife must live in her place of residence, her husband's house basically, for 3 menstrual cycles. As Allah says clearly in the Qur'an, do not cause them to leave their houses, nor should they leave of their own free will until the time period finishes. Once again, how many people who divorce actually follow this sunnah? Why has this time been given? This is a cooling off time. This is a time to think now. Can you really not live without your wife? Can you really, live the rest of your life without this woman? Then for 3 months, have her in your house without touching her. No intercourse, no kissing, no intimacy, no touching, nothing. She will just live with you, and you will live there, separate rooms, completely separate, and let us see if you can live without her. 3 menstrual cycles. During these cycles, the husband has the option of cancelling the divorce and taking his wife back without a new contract, without a new mahar. During these 3 cycles. How does he cancel? He cancels it by verbally saying, for example, I take you back. Or by engaging in any act of intimacy. Not just intercourse. If you kiss her during this time, you have taken her back. Because you have shown you cannot live without her. You do not have the patience to live without her. So if a husband even kisses his wife during this time, then the marriage will be taken back. It doesn't have to be verbal. And of course, if he actually engages in the act, then there's no question that the marriage or the divorce has been revoked, and the marriage continues without a new contract, without a new mahar. Once this is done, if he cancels it, then he should inform the 2 witnesses that he has cancelled the marriage, cancels the divorce. If the 3 cycles continues and the husband does not be intimate with her, does not kiss her, does not touch her, does not say, I take you back, then as soon as she finishes her 3rd menses, remember, you're going to divorce her when she's pure, okay? The first menses take place. She purifies herself. The 2nd menses, she purifies herself. The 3rd menses, around 3 months have gone now. 2.5 minimum. 3, if not 4 months have gone. When she finishes her menses, then the divorce becomes final. Meaning that she has now been given 1 divorce. She must leave you. You have nothing to do with her. You cannot see her, talk to her. She becomes like a strange woman to you. And she must go to her place of residence. She must leave your house after this. She becomes prohibited for you completely. If you wish to marry her again, it must be with a new contract and a new mahar. A new contract and a new mahar. And then if you divorce her, that will be your 2nd divorce. And then if you divorce after that will be your 3rd divorce. So as long as you marry her, or you take her back, even within the cancellation period, that still counts as 1 divorce. 1 divorce has taken place. As soon as you say, I divorce you. Okay? If the divorce does take place, the Qur'an states that the husband should give an adequate gift above and beyond the mahar at this time. Allah says in the Qur'an, وَمَتِّعُهُنَّ, give them a gift. The rich one according to his level and the poor according to his level. So look at the beauty of the Sharia. Look at the proper way of divorce. And then compare it to what actually happens when a couple get divorced. And look at how far we have strayed from the pure Sharia. Look at the beautiful way that Allah has told us to divorce our women. These are not strangers, these are not business transactions. This is a wife that you have lived with, been intimate with, slept with. If you want to move on, don't just move on like this, move on in the proper way. If you want to divorce her, there is a way to do it. You think it out. Then you live with her for 3 months and you really think, and she thinks, can I live without him, can he live without me? In this time, if the husband decides that I don't really want to divorce her, he can take her back, no problem, but 1 divorce is counted. If the wife wishes to take the husband back, there's no such concept. It is the husband that takes it back. But the Sharia has a way out. The wife can do it by enticing the husband through her looks and through her beauty. Because if the husband has intercourse, what does this mean? It means he has taken her back. So this is the loophole that the Sharia has allowed. The right of cancelling the divorce, it is in the husband because he gave it. But what can the wife do? She can make herself look attractive. She can seduce her husband. Purely halal, it is her husband. It is her husband, right? And if she does seduce him and he does anything, even if it's just a kiss with her, and he wants to do this kiss, a kiss of passion, then the cancellation of the divorce has taken place and they are married again. And if he wants to divorce, he has to start all over again from that process. Okay? So, this is the beauty of the Sharia. Look at how far we have gone, that we divorced, unfortunately, at the wrong times. And then immediately the wife leaves. There is no cooling off period. And then things get worse and worse. Look at the final touch, subhanAllah, a gift. This is a verse in the Qur'an. When you divorce your women, give them a gift. SubhanAllah, look at how sensitive the Sharia is. This is not just some business transaction. This is your wife. If you want to get rid of her in this way, then still give her a good gift. A good gift. The rich, according to his means, maybe like a diamond ring or something, or a necklace or something, an expensive gift. And the poor, according to his means, like some cloth, like some beautiful robe that she can wear. According to his means, whatever is adequate for his level, this is what he does. And compare once again to the Sharia, where the man, to the real world, where the man tries to take back what he has given her. The man does not have the right to take the mahar back if he causes the divorce. Unless, of course, she does zina or something, in that case, yeah, but otherwise, no. The man never has the right to take the mahar back. In fact, he has to give her more than the mahar, as the Qur'an says, give her an adequate gift. This is the proper way of divorce. The sunnah way. The bid'ah way of divorce is divorce during menses or during purity in which intercourse has occurred. This is the bid'ah way of divorce. That you divorce your wife in her menses. Or you divorce her when she's pure, but you've had intercourse during that pure time of 3 or 4 weeks. If a person does this, he is sinful. He is sinful. Allah will punish him unless he repents. And he has gone against the Sharia. And he has gone against the Sharia, and he must take his wife back again. But that still counts as one divorce, because he has gone against the Sharia. Ibn Umar divorced his wife when she was in her menses. When the Prophet ﷺ heard of this, he said, command him to take her back, because you have done haram. You shouldn't divorce her when she's in her menses. Command him to take her back. And then wait until she is purified. And then not have intercourse with her, and then divorce her. So if Ibn Umar wanted to divorce her, that would then be his second divorce. Because he has already done one haram, but because it's haram, he should take her back. And then she should divorce her after her period finishes and he doesn't have intercourse with her. Suppose he doesn't do so. Suppose, as is the case in our times, he divorces her in her menses. Or he divorces her when he's had intercourse with her in that time period. And then he tells her to leave, and she leaves the house. In this case, the divorce will still take effect. It will count as one divorce. She must wait 3 cycles. When the 3 cycles finish, then she is free to marry someone else. But the husband is sinful. The husband is sinful for going against the Sharia, for disobeying Allah Azza wa Jal in this matter. There is no sunnah or bid'ah divorce for pregnant women and for unconsummated marriages and for non-menstruating women. Obviously, because they're not in their menses. So the pregnant woman, many people think that you cannot divorce a woman who's pregnant. It might be cruel to do so, but it is halal, in the sense it is allowed to divorce a pregnant woman. There is no sunnah or bid'ah because she doesn't have menses. Likewise, a person who has not consummated the marriage. We gave the example of Ahmad and Fatima. They marry and they don't live together, they don't go into khalwa. There is no sunnah or bid'ah. He can divorce her in her menses because she hasn't been with him. Likewise, women who are not menstruating, either they're too young or they're too old or they have a medical problem, there is no sunnah or bid'ah. You can do divorce at any time. Okay, this only applies to women who are going in their cycle. So we said it does count as one divorce. This is the key here. Also, if the husband disobeys Allah, still the Sharia takes its course. After 3 months, the wife is kicked out of her house by the husband, for example. It is haram, he is sinful. But after 3 months, she becomes free and she can marry anyone else she wants. This is the bid'ah way of divorce, and the husband is sinful. The 1 versus 3 issue. This is the biggest issue of ikhtilaf amongst the scholars. This is the most controversial issue. What is this issue? The issue is when a husband says to his wife, I divorce you, I divorce you, I divorce you. Like this. Or he says, I divorce you 3 times. So he does all 3 at once. This is the issue. What is the sunnah way? How many times does he give divorce? Once, only. And he allows her to live, and then after 3 months, she leaves. 1 divorce. So if they want to get married again, they always have the option of a new marriage contract, and they get married again. The problem arises when they disobey Allah. And they do all 3 divorces at once, in 1 cycle, in 1 menstrual cycle, or 1 time of period, or 1 sitting. I divorce you, I divorce you, I divorce you. Or I divorce you 3 times. A person who divorces his wife 3 times at once is sinful, very sinful. In fact, some ahadith say that the Prophet ﷺ even said, are you playing with the Sharia while I'm still alive? This is what he said. Are you playing with the sharia while I'm still alive? This is not why Allah has revealed 3 divorces, that you do it at once. Any person who divorces his wife in this manner is very, very sinful. He has made a mockery of the sharia. This is not why Allah has revealed. 3 chances means there's 3 times. Not 3 at once, you take all 3 chances. No. You separate it out so that if you want to come back, you have the option of coming back. But this is where the difference of opinion exists. Does 3 equal 3 in this case? Or does 3 equal 1? Okay? If a person says, I divorce you, I divorce you, I divorce you, does that count as 3 divorces? Or does it count as 1 divorce? This is where the ikhtilaf occurs, obviously. That's why I'm talking about it. Many scholars say 3 equals 3. And many scholars also say 3 equals 1. Because he said, those scholars that say 3 equals 1, they state that this person has disobeyed the sharia. He is sinful, but there is no concept of having 3 chances in 1 chance. You only get 1 chance in that 1 cycle. If you were to do more, it doesn't count. Okay? In reality, as we said, this is the most controversial opinion, issue. The majority opinion is that 3 equals 3. This is the majority of scholars around the world. They state 3 equals 3. As for the evidences of both sides, they're very convincing, which is why it is an issue of so much ikhtilaf. Very, very convincing, both sides. And it's beyond the scope really to talk about the evidences and which one is right. But just remember that the majority opinion, the vast majority opinion, in fact, all countries in the world that judge according to the Islamic law of marriage, all countries except for Saudi Arabia, they have 3 equals 3. Only Saudi Arabia, they have throughout their system 3 equals 1. Because they follow the opinion that 3 equals 1. If a husband divorces his wife 3 times in 1 sitting, we're not talking about 3 times over 3 cycles. No, that would be 3. We're talking about 3 times in 1 cycle or in 1 menses. Does it count as 1 or 3? According to the scholars of that country and many scholars before them, Ibn Taymiyyah and others, they said that in that case 3 equals 1, but that is the minority opinion. The majority is that 3 equals 3. Therefore, if a husband divorces his wife, according to the majority opinion, 3 times, in a state of anger, doesn't matter, he has made his wife prohibited for him. So, O husbands, be careful. And also, spread this type of rulings and fiqh to people that you know, because unfortunately, when a person wants to get divorced, he doesn't ask the fiqh, he just does the divorce. And then he regrets. How many are the times? I myself and all of the imams and the du'at, people come to them crying, oh, I divorced my wife 3 times, what can I do now? SubhanAllah, you played with the sharia. You were not aware of the fiqh. You did not ask. And then you want me to find a solution for you. Tough luck. As Ibn Abbas said, is that you have made the sharia, you have made the constricted more constricted upon yourself. You have made matters difficult and then you come to me finding a solution? So I advise all of you to make sure you and all of your friends and relatives know this simple thing, that if you want to divorce your wife, do it once only. Don't do it 3 times. Because if you do it 3 times, then according to the majority of ulama, she has become permanently haram for you. Until she takes a second husband, a second marriage, a real marriage, and then that marriage breaks up, and then it becomes halal for you after that. Other types of divorces, there is a conditional divorce. For example, the husband will tell his wife, if you do this, you are divorced. This is a conditional divorce. This means that when the wife does this deed, this act, she will automatically become divorced. So, he will tell her, for example, if you visit this person's house, you will become divorced. You are divorced. He doesn't want her to visit such a person's house. If the wife disobeys and she goes to that house, as soon as she enters the house, whether the husband knows or not is irrelevant, because he has placed a condition on the divorce. He has placed a condition. Whenever that condition exists, it doesn't matter. Whether he knows, she knows, it doesn't matter. Whenever it exists, she will be counted as being divorced. This is a conditional divorce. Okay? Now, we have to be very careful here when it comes to the actual phrasing of this divorce. If a husband says, if you do this, I will divorce you, and she does it, is she divorced? No. Why? Because he has placed the condition back on himself. I will divorce you. And then it's up to him whether he wants to divorce or not. But if he says, if you do this, you are divorced. You will be divorced. You will be considered to be divorced. You will break, whatever. You have to look at the phrase. If the husband says, don't ever do that again or else, this is not a divorce. If the husband says, if you do so, I'll be very angry at you, of course it's not a divorce. Even if he says, if you do it, I will divorce you, it's not a divorce. Because it goes back to his intention now. It depends on the phrasing of the condition. If you do this, you are divorced, that's one example. Whenever the wife does it, okay, then she will be divorced, but with the condition that the husband actually intended to divorce her when he gave that condition. So, the judge will go to the husband and he will ask the husband, what did you intend when you made this statement? If you do this, you are divorced. Did you intend to scare her? That you will divorce her, or, there's a possibility the marriage will break? Or did you really intend to divorce her? In a conditional phrase, the intention of the husband counts. Many husbands will say, for example, if you talk to that man again, you will be divorced. But they intend only to scare their wives. They don't want an actual divorce to take place. In this case, the intention does count. So the husband can say, oh no, I didn't really intend to divorce her. I wanted to scare her. And Allah knows my intention. In this case, the divorce does not take into effect. Because it's a conditional divorce. If his niyyah was not to divorce her, then how can you count it as a divorce? Only if his niyyah was to divorce her. And he said, if you talk with this man, you are divorced. Then as soon as she talks with the man, she is divorced. So his niyyah is between him and Allah. He must fear Allah. If he intended to divorce her, that counts as a divorce. He must take her back. Obviously, what does this mean? It means one divorce. So he has the option of taking her back. She still must live with him for 3 months, so on and so forth. It's just a conditional divorce. So we said it takes into effect when the wife actually does this condition, as long as the husband intended this as a divorce. This is a conditional divorce. An unconditional divorce is what? The husband says, I divorce you, no condition. This is the unconditional divorce. This is the common way that divorce occurs. And we describe the sunnah way of divorcing in that way, that you wait until the wife is pure after the menses, then you say, I divorce you. This is unconditional, no conditions attached, no strings attached. The conditional, you put a string, you place a string there. Therefore, if he intended to divorce her, then as soon as she does this act, she is divorced automatically. It doesn't matter if the husband doesn't know. This is another point. If the husband says, and he intends to divorce his wife, if you visit that household, you are divorced. Then as soon as the wife enters that household, she is divorced whether the husband knows or not. And in the sight of Allah, the divorce starts and is effective as one. So she must, if she fears Allah, she must tell her husband, I did this is one divorce, so on and so forth. Then it's up to the husband, does he want to take her back or not? And so on and so forth. But the divorce will take into effect whether he knows or not, and even whether she knows or not. Because even if she does it unconsciously, meaning she didn't remember, still it takes into place because it's a conditional divorce. Now obviously the husband can rescind or cancel the condition and say, okay, I said that, now you're allowed to do so. And if he wants to do so, then he must do the expiation of an oath, which is another topic of fiqh. But he must then cancel his oath, and this condition will be negated. For example, he says, I don't want you to visit that household. After a year, they become friends again, that household. So he says, okay, I cancel that condition. He is allowed to do so, and he must then fast 3 days or feed 10 people, what he must do to give up an oath. The other type of divorce we said was a vague divorce versus a precise divorce. A precise divorce, I divorce you. Everyone knows what it means. A vague expression, for example, you have nothing to do with me, or go to your mother's house. This is a vague expression. You don't know, what does he mean? You have nothing to do with me means I'm angry at you. I don't want to talk to you. Go to your mother's house means maybe for a few days. Or it could mean a divorce. Right? It's vague. You have nothing to do with me, it might mean a divorce. Go to your mom's house permanently. It could mean. When it comes to vague expressions, then it depends entirely on the intention of the husband. Same with the conditional. Remember, an unconditional precise expression, even if the husband is joking, it takes into effect. If he jokes with his wife and says, I divorce you, it's a precise phrase, clear, unambiguous, and there's no conditions, then the intention is irrelevant. As the Prophet ﷺ said, that even joking or serious, the divorce takes into account. But if it's conditional, or if it's vague and imprecise, then we take it back to the intention. We go to the husband and say, what did you mean when you said, go to your wife, go to your mother's house? What did you mean when you said you have nothing to do with me? I have nothing to do with you. Did you mean divorce? Then she is divorced. Did you mean that you're angry with her and go for a period of time or so on and so forth? Then she is not divorced. So for the vague types of divorces and for the conditional types of divorces, the husband's intention is completely taken into account. It plays a very important role. And if the husband lies, For example, if he intended to divorce his wife, and then when the witnesses come or the judge comes and he says, no, I didn't intend, then in the sight of Allah, that is still a divorce. In the sight of Allah, he is sinful. In the sight of Allah, that divorce will take into account, unless obviously he takes it back, but still one will be counted for him. And that is between him and Allah, and he must have the taqwa of Allah to realize this, the iman and the taqwa to follow that up. What is the women's right of divorce? Well, the husband is the one who holds the right of divorce, which is why I placed the women's divorce in brackets, in exclamation, in marks. Because the husband is the one who always has the right of divorce. There is no type of divorce where the wife can execute the breaking of the marriage by herself. She must always get more people involved. Never can the wife by herself end a marriage. Whereas the husband can. This is the right of the Sharia. This is a responsibility that Allah has given to the men. As Allah says in the Quran, clearly this is clear verse in the Quran, there's no ikhtilaf over this, that the husband has, وَلِرِجَالِ عَلَيْهِنَ دَرَجَةً, the husband has more rights than them. Because the husband has the right to break the marriage, the husband has the right to cancel the divorce and take the marriage back into place. However, the husband may give the right of divorce to his wife. He may do so. This is up to him. And when he does, then this is allowed only for that instance, for that meeting place, unless he himself lengthens the time. The incident of the Prophet ﷺ, where his wives were complaining and asking for more and more. What did the Prophet ﷺ do? He left them for 1 month. Complete. And then he went to them and he gave them the option of divorce. He allowed them. The matter is in your hands. If you want a divorce, come, I will give you all the money that you want and you live your lives. But if you want Allah and His Messenger, as the Quran says, there's a verse in the Quran recited to this day, Surah Ahzab. If you want Allah and His Messenger, then you will, Allah will be pleased with you if you are pious. Okay? So, if the husband allows his wife divorce, he seriously tells her, you want to end this marriage? It's your option. I give you the right of divorce. He must delegate that authority to the wife. It's not a joking or vague, it's a serious thing. And he explicitly gives this right. The wife cannot infer from some vague expressions. It must be explicit. The husband must come and say to the wife that I give you the option. It's up to you. If you want a divorce, then you have that option. If she says, okay, I want a divorce, then immediately one divorce counts from the husband. Because he has given her that option and she has taken it. And if she says, no, I want to continue, then that option is gone. She cannot take an option 1 year from now. The husband says right now, for example, that I give you the option of divorce. Then 1 year later she goes, oh, you gave it to me, so I want to divorce. Too late. It's only for that period of time, unless he himself says, I give you this option for 1 month, for 1 year, for 1 week. Think about it, and you have this option. Once the husband gives this, he does not have the right to take the option back. But he still has the right to take the what? The divorce back. Okay? Because it's a normal divorce. You understand? You're following here. The option, he cannot take it back. He has given it to her. I give you the option of divorce. She takes it. Now the husband has the right to cancel that divorce and take her back. Because it's still a divorce. Okay? And this can be done for 3 times, as we said. If she does follow through with it, and she takes that right, then it counts as 1 divorce. So all of the rulings are still applicable upon that 1 divorce. The wife has the option, though, to ask for something called khula. Okay? This is a special type of divorce. Special type of divorce. This is a divorce that the wife can ask. Not in the hands of the husband. It is the wife's right to ask it, and the husband's right to give it or refuse it. A khula means that the wife is basically ransoming herself from her husband by giving him some money. Specifically her mahr or anything else. Okay? The khula is done when the wife asks the husband for divorce, and if the husband agrees to the khula, then the khula takes place immediately. But if he doesn't agree, then the wife cannot execute the khula except by going to the court to demand khula or to demand annulment of the marriage. Fasakh, we call it in Arabic. Once again, the wife never has the right to terminate the marriage by herself. She has the right of divorce if her husband gives it to her. She has the right to demand for khula. And once again, it's up to the husband. Or if she really wants to end the marriage and the husband does not want to give divorce and is not willing to give khula', then she goes to the court. And the court examines her case. Why does she want a divorce? If she wants a divorce because of some problem of the husband is not maintaining her, not providing her food, mistreating her, abusing her, hitting her for no reason, then the judge has the right of fasakh, or annulling the marriage. Okay? And if she has a legitimate right, then she will be given a khula'. The khula' is given when the husband is not at fault. If the husband is not doing his job, then in general the fasakh will be granted, we call it. The Islamic court would annul the marriage. But if the husband is a good Muslim, and he's providing for her, yet she has some problems, for example, the way he looks, the way he talks, or some trivial thing, or I don't love him, for example, some type of excuse that she wants, and it's not her husband's fault that she doesn't love him, It's not her husband's fault how he looks. So if she wishes to end the marriage for a legitimate reason, then she has this option of khula'. But it is an option that she has to take with care, because the Prophet ﷺ said, any wife that asks her husband for divorce without a valid reason will not smell the scent of paradise. Will not smell the scent of paradise, and verily its fragrance is available for such and such a distance. So, the woman has to be careful. There must be a legitimate reason. The wife of Thabit ibn Qais came to the Prophet ﷺ and said, Ya Rasulullah, I have no problems with Thabit's characteristics nor his religion. He is a good man, he takes care of me. He is a pious Muslim. But I feel that I will commit kufr if I remain married to him. How? Because Thabit was a very, if you like, ugly person. He was very unattractive, not just average, very unattractive. And Thabit's wife said, every time I see him in a gathering of men, I feel ashamed and disgusted looking at him. His characteristics were not very handsome. Okay? So she came to the Prophet ﷺ and said, I'm not complaining about his money. I'm not complaining about the way he treats me, about his Islam. But I cannot bear to remain with him because of his looks. So the Prophet ﷺ said, are you willing to return the mahar that she gave you of a garden? She said, yes, and more than this even, I'm willing. The Prophet ﷺ said, no, not more, just the mahar. So he took this and he gave the khula' to Thabit's wife. So the khula' is done by ransoming herself, by repaying her mahar or a portion of her mahar. If she gives more, then the husband is sinful for taking it, but the khula' is still valid. If the husband demands more, suppose the mahar was 10,000. The khula', she can give 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 5,000, 7,000, 10,000. And in fact, she should give the entire mahar. This is the best type of khula'. She gives her mahar back because she doesn't want the husband. If the husband says, no, give me 20,000, and she wants to get rid of the marriage, then if she gives 20,000, the husband is sinful for asking more than the mahar. Okay? But the khula' is still valid. The khula' does not count as a talaq. It's a different thing. Therefore, if they go through a khula', the husband cannot change his mind after a week and say, oh, I want you back. No, he accepted money from her. Realize also, a khula' must be through some type of money. If the wife asks for divorce and the husband says, I divorce you, this is not khula'. This is a divorce. But if the wife says, take this money and give me the khula', give me the divorce, then this is khula'. So khula' must be with some money. If the wife says to her husband, divorce me, the husband says, I divorce you, this is a divorce. This is a divorce. And the rulings of divorce will be applicable, of 3 menstrual cycles, of the husband taking it back, so on and so forth. But if the wife says, divorce me, and in return I'll give you XXX. In return I'll give you 100, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000, whatever. This is a khula'. So the husband, has given up his option of taking the khula' back, of taking the divorce back. As soon as he says yes, the khula' takes into effect. There is no sunnah or bid'ah. It could be done in menses, it could be done when they've had intercourse, no problem. When the husband says yes, then the khula' will take into effect, and he has no right to take her back. Because it's a money transaction. She has, as we said, ransomed herself. This is the whole point. So understand, many people don't understand khula'. They think anything from the wife is a khula'. No. If the wife says to her husband, divorce me, and the husband says, I divorce you, this is a divorce, it's not a khula'. Which means he has the right to take her back. Only if there is money that she ransoms herself with, this counts as a khula', and the waiting period of a khula' is 1 cycle, not 3. The wife will leave the house immediately. The husband should not support her at all, should not be alone together, and after 1 cycle, the husband then becomes haram for her completely, and the wife can marry anyone after 1 menstrual cycle, not 3 menstrual cycle. Once again, khula' must be with money, or with something material, not necessarily money, but let's say a house or a car or something of material value. The wife must give of her property back to the husband. If there is no transaction of money, it is a normal divorce, which means that there will be 3 cycles that counts as 1 divorce. Khula' does not count as divorce. After this 1 cycle, if the husband and wife want to get remarried, they do so with a new marriage contract, a new mahar, and their divorce rate is still 0. The husband still has 3 options of divorce. Khula' does not count as 1 talaq.
سبحانك اللهم بحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك.
You've reached the conclusion of this CD. Take the opportunity to evaluate yourself by going to ilmquest.org, where you will find